Hey peoples, it is time for the next segment of our 2016 Top 100 list. This is where I'm counting down all the way from 100 down to one of the games I love the most this time of year in 2016. And for this segment, we're going to be doing number 90 to number 81. That's 10, right? I say questioningly for some reason. But yes, that's what we're going to be doing. So let's, without further delay, let's get right into it. If you want to know more about this list, go back and watch my introduction video. My number 90 is Arboretum from Z-Man Games. It is my number 93 last year, so it actually went up a few spots because I actually did play it a few times. And which sounds like, why would that be something you're surprised about? But I don't get to play every game that makes it on and off the list all the time because it can be long and complicated, and I'm a reviewer. I got tons of games coming in. But Arboretum is on the lighter side, and a lot of people have wanted to play it. It's actually ranked number 396 over on Board Game Geek and user rating of 7.3, which is not bad for such a light game. Arboretum is a game where you're trying to, as the name implies, make sets of trees. Different colors, different names that I don't remember, but the purple ones, the red ones. And you're trying to have different sets, and you're actually there's actually a spatial element to the game where you're trying to have like runs of these trees and it's basically a fancy set collection game with some unique twists as to how the scoring works. In fact, it's very difficult the first time you play to figure out how the scoring works. But once you do, you're like, oh. And it's very mind-bending and very, very cool little game. I've enjoyed it greatly. It looks fantastic. They're just trees, but the artwork looks really great on the trees. Even the box looks good. So it was out of print for a while, but if you can get a copy of it, Arboretum is a great, great little game, and a great game for casual gamers and people who are used to playing very simple card games, but maybe not more complicated ones, but it's not so complicated that it's over their head. It's a great little introduction to the wider world of board and card games that we all know and enjoy. So that is Arboretum, my number 90. But High Elf Andrew, we have royalty today, over on Board Game Geek says, "Good God, this is dull. I cannot understand what possessed Mark to buy it. Basic set building with very little strategy." This is an aside. I love reading when people in the BGG comments call out very specific people. Like, do they hope that they follow them and read their comments? Mark, you done fucked up. My number 89 is brand new to the list. Brand new, just came out earlier this year. It was a Kickstarter game. I did not back it on Kickstarter. I was given a reviewer copy of the game and wish that I had backed it on Kickstarter because it was very, very good, obviously, if it's my number 89. That is Allegiance, A Realm Divided from Underground Games. It is ranked number 2,502 on Board Game Geek, but I don't think it's commercially available. I mean, I think you can buy it on Amazon, but you don't see it at many other stores. So it's not really in people's hands a lot. It's also ranked, its average user rating is 8.3, which, again, I'll attribute to Kickstarter backers. But in any case, it's got a good rating for a reason, though. This is basically, there's a lot of hallmarks to Magic here. I would say the one problem with the game is that the battle system hews a little bit too similarly to Magic the Gathering. But what makes the game so unique is that everyone takes control. You're all like these really powerful, I don't know if immortal's the right word, but you're like these Highlander type super powerful characters, heroes of this world, who are fighting against each other and using other minions and troops to do so, like planeswalkers or something. And every player has their own character board and their own very unique set of abilities. And as you progress through the game, you get gold, and during the course of the game, not like over a campaign, and just use that gold in the game to unlock more powerful steps of your ability and unlock just brand new abilities altogether. And you have to be very careful how you spend your money. Do you upgrade another skill, open up a new one? And everyone's got very unique play styles. There's a Death Knight, and a Necromancer, and a Mad King, and a Ranger who's got animal companions, and a healer. All this type of wizard. Really cool. There's a vampire. I can go on and on. Very cool, distinct classes with very different, unique abilities. Gorgeous artwork. The artwork on the cards is good too, but I mean the artwork on the player boards is stunning, which it deserves mention. I know this isn't important to the game itself, but fortunately the game itself is incredibly interesting as well. Best with 2 players, I would say, but it can go up to more. I don't necessarily recommend it, but 2 players is the sweet spot, and you've got that option for more if you want it. But that is Allegiance, A Realm Divided from Underground Games, my number 89. There were no, not even remotely, really, negative reviews for this game over on Board Game Geek or on Amazon, the two main places I wanted to look before I got bored and stopped, which again is because it's a brand new Kickstarter game, but we'll see next year. Someone will hate this game, someone will. My number 88 did a big drop, 45 spots down from number 43 to number 88. That is Summoner Wars, specifically the Summoner Wars Master Set. There's still two different delineations on Board Game Geek, but the one you want to look at is Summoner Wars Master Set, which was ranked number 100. Wow, just broke into the 100, although I'm sure it's going to fall out. I think it's been steadily dropping, the same way it's been dropping on my list, with an average user rating of 7.6. Now, I don't know, I like the game as much as I liked it before. It's just, again, I haven't been playing it that much. It's a two-player game, which is tough for me to get to the table. And when I do have time to play a two-player game with like one individual person outside of our normal game group, I want it to be really special, so I'll do something more akin to a big, grandiose game. And Summoner Wars is just very simple and straightforward, competitive, tactical, non-miniatures game. But it's great for that reason. And so I'm sad to see it drop this far, but it's still a great game. You have tons of different troops and units, and you move them. You have to protect your summoner, defeat the enemy summoner. You have different troops and units that you use for your faction. And then what's great is how they use the system of summoning, because your cards are your magic. And so you have to purposefully discard cards into your magic pile in order to use that pile to summon more units and to use special abilities and things like that. And it's just a great way to implement that system, and a great tactical, again, miniatures game in a sense. And I love the artwork and theme as well. That is Summoner Wars, the Master Set from Plaid Hat Games, my number 88. Over on Board Game Geek, High Volume LP has a second opinion. He says, I just do not understand the attraction here. Small play area, my 5 beats your 4, rinse and repeat. No, this is not chess. I don't think anyone was under that impression. My number 87 also fell 25 spots from number 62 last year, and that is Conquest of Planet Earth, BGG ranking 1019, an average user rating of 7.0. Conquest of Planet Earth is the only game I reliably enjoy and keep in my collection from Flying Frog Games. And that's because I really love the theme. I love that it's fully cooperative. You and the other player... Well, okay, let me straighten that out. The base way to play it is competitive. Cooperative is a mode that you can choose to play as. That is the only way to play. I played competitive one time and said, never again. The take that elements were too annoying, and it was just this annoying back and forth between the players. But as a cooperative game, and it's fully fleshed out mode, you and the other players are space aliens cooperatively divvying up the Earth and coming down to destroy it and wreak havoc and take bits and pieces of it for yourselves. And you have to work together to do this. You have to fight back against the resident superhero of Earth and all the armies of Earth, making a giant super weapon as you invade with your saucers and get upgrades and use your alien special abilities. It can be a bit long and tons of little bits and chits and pieces that you have to work out and work together, like any Flying Frog game, really. But I think this is the best of them. I love the theme. I love the components. The Apocalypse expansion is great, if only for the giant cube of destruction. Really love the game. This is making me want to play it right now, because I haven't played it in a while. And it would probably be higher if I did. But it's still a great game if you can get it. Conquest of Planet Earth, my number 87. But, of course, over on Board Game Geek, there is a second opinion from Atom Zero. Up and Atom. This game earned the exclusive "could not wait for this game to end" tag. Way too many gotcha cards that make the game unnecessarily long by deleting hard-won achievements and completely negating turns. In my experience so far, Flying Frog continues to throw a bunch of art and minis into a box and sell it to people who are looking for a toy. True. My number 86 was my number 78 last year. It's also always the bridesmaid, never the bride, when it comes to my top 10 deck building games list, and I will always get shit for that. Shadowrun Crossfire from Catalyst Game Labs. It is ranked 497 on Board Game Geek and average user rating of 7.3. Now, I was originally attracted to Shadowrun not just because it's a deck building game, and that's a theme that I like, not just because it's cooperative, and that's another genre that I like, but also because it's Shadowrun. And Shadowrun was an RPG that I both ran one time and briefly played in another campaign, 2 different editions of the game. I love the world. Shadowrun is far future, cyberpunk mixed with fantasy, where magic and elves and dwarves and dragons have reawoken into the world of a cyberpunk dystopia. With mega corporations ruling everything. Oh, such a cool universe that I want to see more of. I'm afraid to say make a TV show out of it because they'd probably fuck it up. But, I swear in this, by the way. I love Shadowrun's universe, and so I was really eager to play a cooperative deck building game based on it. Now, having said that, the theme is probably a little bit weaker than I would like in this game, but it is also a really interesting take on the deck building genre, where how you buy cards from the market and adding them directly to hand, and how you have to work together to beat these challenges is brutally hard. It is so hard. I mean, it really is one of the most difficult cooperative games I've played. And yet you are rewarded for your perseverance by being able to permanently upgrade your characters. So there's a little weird legacy thing going on in the game too that I really enjoy, although you can buy more character sheets and make more characters eventually. But for all these reasons and more, and I actually haven't even gotten around to playing the expansion yet, I'm really eager to keep playing it. That is Shadowrun Crossfire, my number 86 this year. But over on Board Game Geek, Trobar says, pointless karma grind, that's the currency of the world, that feels exactly opposite to what Shadowrun is about. My number 85 is from Stegmaier Games, and it's actually up 5 spots from number 90 last year. At number 85, it is Viticulture, the strategic game of winemaking or something like that. I forget the subtitle. Again, from Stegmaier Games and Jamey Stegmaier. It is ranked number 82, very close to my ranking on Board Game Geek with an average user rating of 7.8. That seems about right. As the name implies, you are making wine in this game, but it's not just that. You have to cultivate the vines, you have to harvest them, you have to go out and meet with the townsfolk, you have to improve your distillery, is that what they call it for wine? And get new equipment and build up your area that you make the wine in. And it's a worker placement game, but with some very interesting aspects to it. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. I would say it's almost an entry level worker placement game. There's a huge expansion called Tuscany that I am ashamed to say I haven't played yet. I played some parts of it. But even without it, the newest edition at least, especially there's an essential edition out there you may even want to get, which mixes the best parts of Tuscany together with the base game. If you haven't had any experience with the game yet, probably the best one to get. Just however you play it though, great game, great looking components, just another solid game from Stegmaier Games. So that's Viticulture, my number 85. Over on Board Game Geek, however, not the Fonz. I feel like he's an alumni of this list. If you can get victory points for things other than winemaking, then they need to change the subtitle of the game to The Strategic Game of Grape Selling and Non-Existent Wine Tasting. I love that it bothers him so much, too. Moving right along, my number 84 is Star Wars The Queen's Gambit, which was number 85 last year. Barely moved at all. It actually moved up 1 spot, which could be just nothing. But it's from Avalon Hill. It is long out of print. We'll get back to that in a second. Over on Board Game Geek, it's ranked number 416 and is a user rating of 7.6. If it was in print, I'd assume it'd be higher up there. But it's out of print because it was based on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and not many people want to be associated with that. After the movie made its money in theaters, and it made quite a lot of it, they said, it's alright, let's just not bother with this anymore. And I hate the movie. Like, the movie is awful. It's a goddamn piece of hot garbage, and the whole prequel trilogy is. But maybe it was all worth it if this game came out of it. Probably not, but this is a good game. Star Wars Episode 1, or Star Wars Queen's Gambit, takes Episode 1 and basically breaks down the entire overlong final battle scene, every individual part of it, and puts it out there on the board for you and one other player or 2-on-2 on teams to vie back and forth. One player being the Trade Federation, Don't get me started. One player being the good guys, whatever they're called, and that not the rebels, but we'll say rebels and empire. And you are trying to influence each of these different sectors by just very simple card play. I mean, setting up the game is more difficult than actually just teaching it, because it's very straightforward how you roll the dice and play the cards. And you say, okay, I want to play this card, which means I get to take Darth Maul over here fighting the 2 Jedi in the generator room and make attacks with them. Or I'm going to play this card over here and add more Gungans. Gungas? Is it Gungas? The Gungas... That's a deep reference. Out on the field and fight back against the droid army. Or and once I kill Darth Maul, my Jedi can run into the palace and go and kill the queen. It's incredibly thematic, even if you don't like the theme that it's based on. It has tons of great plastic. They'll never make a game like this again. That's another reason it's out of print. And it's a spectacle to behold with the 3-layered palace and just the miniatures, and it's just great. It's such a good, cool experience with different ways to end the game as well. So even though it's simple, it's got decision making in it as well. It's very random, but I think it's worth it as a big set piece experience. I don't recommend that you break a leg or break your bank trying to get this game, because it can be very expensive right now. But if your friendly local game store happens to have their in-store copy somehow, or you know a friend who has it, play it. I think you'll like the experience. That is Star Wars The Queen's Gambit, my number 84. Over on Board Game Geek, however, Sourworm says, any relation to sour shoes, says, I wanted to like this because of the theme. It sucks because it comes down to the simple Anakin Dice Fest. I was very disappointed I didn't see more 1 ratings complaining about the movies, but who knows. My number 83 is a perennial favorite of the list. It's actually down 30 spots from number 53 last year, but I still think it's not that big a deal. Ristorante, Italia from Red Glove Games, ranked number 1902, slower than I thought, on Board Game Geek, and average user rating of 6.9. This is a surprisingly heavy Euro game, but not that heavy, and I think still falling into the category of entry-level introductory to a degree, where you are all chefs, and you are trying to put together the perfect cuisine in order to impress food critics who are coming by to view your restaurant and taste your goods. You can actually make your restaurant better. You can get better recipes. You can have little cook-offs. There's a lot of great components to the game. It looks fantastic. Little chef's hats and cups that you use to keep your money in. It's very tense, very tight. You have to really worry about how you spend your money and your resources and what menu items you decide to make. But I love the theme of the game, and it just works together very well. And typically I don't like the kind of game, especially since there's bidding in the game, but it works well here since the bidding isn't too penalizing. The Ristorante Italia, great game, great theme, my number 83. But over on Board Game Geek, Himmelhund says, 1 million parts in a simple game. Needs streamlining, keep for kids. Which seems to be contradictory. My number 82 is brand new to the list and just got released to Kickstarter backers in the past year, although I got a review copy of it, and yes, I know, I should have reviewed it by now, and I will soon. Vast, the Crystal Caverns from Letter Games, because I think that's how you say his name, Patrick Leader or Letter. It is ranked number 1100 on Board Game Geek and average user rating of 7.6. 1100, it's a brand new game. I'm not even sure. I think it's out of print technically right now. You have to wait for the new printing to come out, which is actually on Board Game Geek for a component, it's on Kickstarter again for a component upgrade. But again, I'm just talking, I don't even know anything about that. I'm just talking about the base game. And the base game is fascinating. I've never been as mystified and compelled by a game in recent memory as I have been with Vast. Now, that alone is not enough to make a wonderful game as far as the gameplay goes. And the game has some problems, which is why it's not higher on my list. But as an incredible experience, as a compelling experience where I love how all of the moving parts interact, Vast succeeds. Essentially, it's a completely asymmetrical game where it's set in a fantasy world. One player is a knight, one player is a dragon, one player is controlling tribes of goblins, one player is a immortal thief, and one player is the cave itself that they are all adventuring in. And the cave wants to, like, basically collapse and trap everyone in it. The thief wants to steal stuff, and the knight needs to kill the dragon. The dragon needs to just escape. The goblin tribes want to kill the knight. I mean, there's like this back and forth give and take of everyone's goals of who needs to do what and who's going to be interacting with who the most, and everyone's trying to stop everyone else, because even if you're not in direct conflict with another player and need them for your goal, you still want to keep them from winning, because whoever meets their winning condition first is going to win. And it's just a fascinating struggle. How everyone plays is completely differently. I love playing as the knight because it's the most straightforward, but the knight gets to do really cool stuff with filling up boxes on her track with cubes in order to unlock abilities. The dragon works somewhat like that too, but the cave is very different with how they get to use their cards in order to influence the players. It's just a wonderful experience. It's probably a bit too complicated, too overlong, but I would play it again in a heartbeat, over and over again, because it's just so interesting and thematic, and like no other board game experience I've played in ever, but definitely in recent memory. And the expansion over on Kickstarter, I keep wanting to say Board Game Geek, has not only component upgrades, but more character roles as well. And that's all the details I know. But having said that, no matter what, Vast the Crystal Caverns is an interesting experience that you should definitely check out. My number 82. But over on Board Game Geek, there's still some negative reviews, even though it's freshly new. TiVo Watcher says, not very good or fun to play. Couldn't wait for it to end, actually. Game revolves too much around the knight doing fun stuff. Dragon and goblins are a drudge to play. And finally, for this segment of the list, my number 81, up 5 spots from last year at number 86, is Parade from Z-Man Games, originally a self-published Japanese game from Naoki Homma. Over on Board Game Geek, it's ranked number 650 and is a 6.9 average user rating. Parade's a very simple and light card game. The name of the game comes from like Alice in Wonderland characters being in a parade. That's what all the excellent artwork depicts, is Alice in Wonderland characters. But basically, the reason it's called that is because you're putting them all in a lineup out on the board. It's a set collection game. And you want to get sets of these cards of the different colors and different characters depicted on them. But in order to do that, in order to get these cards, you need to put cards out into the parade. But if you do it incorrectly, you're going to end up taking cards that you don't want. It can turn into a whole foobar situation. So you need to be very careful about the cards that you play and pay attention to what the other characters and players are going to be playing, what they're going for out on the board. So it's set collection with a twist, and it doesn't seem like it would be that interesting, but it works really well. Every time I've played this, everyone's enjoyed it. It's fast, it's light, it's fun, easy to explain, and yet wrapping your head around the best way to play the game is not that easy, and that's what I like about it. It's a light game with decision making. That's my number 81, Parade, up from number 86 last year. But over on Board Game Geek, for a second opinion, Tricolored Tiger says, you're locked into math. Even math class wouldn't be this cruel. Not a game. Ding! First time we've heard this list. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. That was our number 90 to number 81. Stay tuned. In a few days, we'll be getting number 80 down to 71, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great holiday. Take care.
We come accused.